Wow, look at that. We're getting better with our intros and everything. This is fun. I just want to welcome everyone back to another episode of the Broker to Broker podcast. Welcome back. We are on season 5. So today's episode is going to be fun. We are switching it up a bit, and so I'm going to try once in a while to lean into things that I see throughout our community, and that's going to be a big importance of today's podcast, which is community, because when this whole thing started, let's just say it was before AIME. And I tell people this all the time. If you were a broker down the street from me, I hated you. I don't know why. It's just kind of the way we were built, but we have flipped that upside down. And this community, to me, is my most favorite thing and most proud thing of being a part of this association and being a part of a great group of people. Just like I said, today's episode, we're going to focus on the community side of things. Our guest today is one of our biggest community leaders, members, and one of the most positive people I ever met. But before we get into that, just a little background on myself here. Trust me, I think a lot of you guys have listened to this enough. You know that, the guest is more important to me, and I let them do all the talking. So we're going to switch it up once in a while here and there, and just give you a little background on myself, just so you know. I've been coaching, not business coaching, but I've been a sports basketball coach for over 20 years. I have a pretty cool history with the game of basketball. I was a ball boy for the Pistons for 9 years. So working in the locker room with them, and then they let me work out with them during the summer, which propelled me to play college basketball. After my sophomore year, I broke my elbow going into the season. And I had a buddy basically say, "Hey, I need help coaching. Can you help me out just a little bit?" So I stepped in at the age of 20, and I got my first varsity basketball job at a high school, local high school. It's actually my alma mater, at the age of 21. And I've been coaching literally ever since. I get a lot of people asking me, "How do you do this with AIME and your mortgage business?" You just do it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think about all the time that I'm missing. You just do it. But when it comes to coaching, there's one thing that I have led off with my team every year. And I think this pertains quite a bit to our industry, because there's times that we worry about new programs. Our programs are coming out. What are rates doing? We always hear the talk of, once rates go down. Well, at the end of the day, I always talk to my team about controlling the controllables, right? And the first thing that I tell them every first practice of the year, and then I reiterate it throughout the year, I think even Matt Ishbia has said it a few times too, which is there's two things that I want them to control, and which is their attitude and effort. And that's basically what it boils down to. You can control those things. You can't control if rates are coming down. You can't control on the basketball floor if someone's bigger than you. You can't control that. Right. So we talk about attitude and effort all the time. And when I give these speeches to my teams, I always sit there and I always take a step back and go, wow, I need to take this advice myself too sometimes. So that's what my big thing is for you today, as like a little intro here, is you control your attitude and effort. If rates are going up a little bit, or there was a bad day in the market, just say, "Hey, listen, it's okay. They're going to move. We know that, but I'm going to have a good attitude about this," because you always got to remember why we're doing this. Obviously, it is to make a living, but we truly do change people's lives. We help them, probably over 98% of people, making the biggest financial decision, and we are in the driver's seat for that. And then the effort thing is, listen, at the end of the day, 4 years ago, I know we could all just pick up a phone and probably get a deal. That's changed. You got to put more effort into it. You got to strive to be better. It's going to be harder, and I understand that, but every time we go through these dips and dives in our industry, it gets really hard, but then, sometimes it just gets a little easier. But you can always control your attitude and effort. And that's what I want, this to be about. I want this to be about the community, and you can control your attitude and effort with inside the community as well. So just want to lead off with that. Like I said, we're trying something new here. Hopefully I didn't ramble on too much, because I am really, really excited about today's guest. We have a guest who I'm shocked hasn't been on here sooner. Our great producer, Kurt. If you've never met Kurt, go meet Kurt. He's one of the best guys out there. But at the end of the day, when he showed me this name, I said, I cannot believe she has not been on an episode before. She's a force within our community. She comes to our events, and if you talk to her, she's one of the most positive people out there. She's been in this mortgage space for a long time. I'll let her tell her story. But today I want to welcome you, the broker owner of Empire Mortgage, Michelle Chretien. Michelle, thanks for joining us today.
Hello, how are you?
I am doing wonderful seeing your face now. So you just got to smile when you talk to you,
Well, you have one choice to make every day when you get up. It's your attitude.
See,
That's it,
that's what I just talked
right?
about.
That's it. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Michelle,
So
I know a lot of people within our industry know you. You know what I mean?
mhm.
But let's just be honest, there's some people that don't or even know your story. So I always like to lead these off with how did you get started in the business? Tell us your story of how we're getting to this point right now.
So I worked in a factory, which if you've met me, I'm not well to be contained to a machine. I worked for Velcro, and that's where I met my husband. And after I had my youngest son, I had an opportunity to go work as a assistant for this guy in the mortgage world. I'd like to tell you that it was just a few years ago, but that was 1993. So a little bit.
A little
And
bit.
a little bit. So I went to go work for him and just got excited about the industry. And, you just, somebody gives you an opportunity to come into this industry. You don't wake up to come in. I worked many different roles in the industry for years. They even had me processing. Not good at that. They tried me as a junior underwriter. Terrible. They never put me in closing because they knew that wouldn't work. So what happened was I just kept going and going. And about 20 years ago, I flipped to the sales side. And I said, that's it. I worked retail for years. And some, when you're in retail and they're dictating what you can do and can't do and how you can treat your customers. And for me, community is huge. And I found that like the last year I was in retail, they were dumping more community projects on me, but everyone else was getting all the leads. And I said, this isn't right. So my oldest says to me, just open your own shop, which was the end of 2019. So we opened January 14th, 2020. Had no idea what we were doing and what we were in for. But honestly, because of AIME, and I got affiliated and whatnot, UWM introduced us. And there was a weekly sales call every week and about just like mindset and keep going and the tricks and the trades. And you got to meet more and more people. The first event I handled at Fuse was virtual, which
Oh
was
yeah.
very
I
different,
remember
right? In
that
2020.
it was different, but it was fun.
It
That
was
was a fun one.
fun. And I got to like just get to meet more people and whatnot. And then so my operations person who does everything I don't want to do is my youngest son. So he was brought up in the industry on the way to hockey tournaments. He was on my BlackBerry, basically answering emails as we were driving wherever. So I'm blessed because I get to work with my son every day.
That's amazing. The little thing here is I have a son in college. He plays college baseball, and I asked him, I'm like, dude, what are you going into? You know what I mean? Like, what do you want to do? And he goes, Dad, I think I want to work with you. And I was like, oh, like that's gonna be fun if it happens.
Yeah, it's great. My
That's
daughter
awesome.
worked for me, worked with me during college and whatnot. And my daughter was actually an entrepreneur before me. She owns an escape room in the state, so which is cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun.
The one question I have for you, because we actually do have quite a bit of retail people listening to these podcasts, because
Mhm.
there's a lot of retail people that hear these rumors about the broker channel or just kind of a little bit unsure. So I love talking about this because they're listening, and I'm going to tell all you retail people, just make the switch. You won't regret it. But what is the biggest difference that you see between retail and wholesale?
Well, I think being on the wholesale side, we were fed on retail that you can't talk to an underwriter, you can't lock a loan. I talked to more underwriters working through like problems and brainstorming on loans than I ever did when I had an underwriter sitting upstairs for me. That nobody realizes that. And then just, you're not stuck with whatever's in their toolbox. We have more tools.
Yeah,
You know,
and really, you can create your own tools too.
Mhm. Yeah. So it's fun in that space, I think.
Perfect. So if we have someone listening from retail right now, or maybe just a loan officer that wants to open up their own shop, how is the transition coming to this channel, and what would you tell someone, you wish you knew now?
I wish I would have set my systems up better in the beginning because I thought we had time to do that. But then when COVID hit, rates dropped so great that we really were backpedaling, we were totally reactive instead of proactive. So get some systems in, make sure who you're going to use for certain things, and just make sure even if it's an Excel spreadsheet, that you have a CRM, like something that keeps track of everybody.
Absolutely. That the CRM is one of the most important things in our business.
And underutilized, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some great people that I mean I know Julie Yarbrough, she
Yeah,
hammers her CRM pretty darn hard, and but that's also why she's so successful.
exactly. And it's just, and I think also since COVID, I think more and more our local communities, there's no sense of the community, right? People are back, so when you call one of your past clients, they're excited to hear from you because they want to know what's going on and things like that because everything's just so digital now. I love to pick up a phone and call.
Yeah, I'm a big phone guy. I love getting on the phone. Okay, so
Yeah, for
you've
sure.
you've been in the wholesale channel now for 5 years, right? Have you seen
Yeah.
a difference from when you started during that COVID time to now? And like, what would you say is that biggest difference?
Well, I think it's the sense of community. So, 2020 was insane. 2020 hits, it's still busy, right? I leaned into this community so great. And I think what a lot may not know, in March of 2021, I actually lost a kidney.
Oh, I didn't
And
know that.
yeah, and I had so many from our community reach out that weren't getting paid from me. They're like, hey, we know your kids are working and taking care of stuff. If they need anything, call my cell phone. I don't care what time of day or night. Like everybody was willing to jump in and help so that the paychecks were still coming in while I was recovering.
That's amazing.
So you don't hear about that stuff. You hear in retail, no, you're on your own island. You're not. Our island's very, very large and it's amazing.
That's great. Well, you just talked about the community, and I really want to hop into this part of the segment about the community. I mean, you're very involved, you're very proactive, you're willing to help anyone, which, that's what I absolutely love. But like how when you said AIME helped you, what did AIME do?
It was just to be a spot where you could go into and you could ask questions. If you go into the back end, just the different things that they had set up. If you need to do a letter to somebody, if you needed to do like there was procedures and policies set up. So like, oh, hey, here's how they started their company and how they built their different actions for each step of
Mhm.
the way. I think it was not recreating the wheel and
I
just a
agree.
positive light and a positive light. If you're down on yourself, you're not going to get any business if your attitude's in the tank. So I think that that's really helped a ton. And then there's a lot of them I pop on, 2020 Vision does a free sales call every Tuesday, 11:30 Eastern time. You'll see people from all across the country on that. The ideas and things that come out of that is huge. And it's free. It's free.
Yeah, me and
So
Free get along pretty well.
yeah, me too.
Well, with that being said, too, the Brokers Are Best Facebook group, that page is absolutely phenomenal. I'm going to give credit to a lot of people out there because it started to go down that negative train. You know what I
Yep.
mean? But it has completely flipped, and you're a big part of it. What do you like about the Facebook group page?
Well, because then you can just go in and search and say who's, if you're looking for a specific lender to do a certain unicorn, you're going to find it in there. And they're all going to be quick to let you know. And even if it's just simple as, hey, it's been a while since I've done this kind of loan. Can I do this on USDA? Can I do it on VA, FHA? There's people in there to answer it, which is great because not everyone does all the types of loans, depending on where you are. We do a fair amount of USDA up here. So, it's great. So it's a lot of that stuff. I think that you can get those answers quickly.
Yeah, no, I like to call it, excuse me, I like to call it, like guidelines on steroids,
Yeah.
and the cool thing about the community is if you come across a situation, I am 99% sure someone has already come across that situation that's willing to help you.
And I think especially now, I would say maybe 2 or 3 years ago, might have been afraid to ask some questions in that group, but it's so different. I mean, it's been revamped and it's amazing where there's no stupid question. Everyone's there to answer. No one's going to pick on you if you think, oh my gosh, I should know this. Maybe not, right? So everyone's going to answer that for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the community, I know you're pretty involved in your local community,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
So tell us what you do in your local community, because if you're just listening, I'm going to tell you right when I asked that question, Michelle's face lit up. So I got to hear what are you doing over there?
I love my community. So I serve on a few boards. One is the Elliott Perry Foundation. We do things for Children's Hospital at Dartmouth. Dartmouth College has a massive hospital up there, and there's a big children's hospital. and then also does a lot with veterans. So that's like, the kid is 13 years old. He's already been on Ellen. He's been, he's phenomenal force, and he pretty much guides our organization. And so we do a lot there with him, and fun. I sponsor baseball, softball, soccer, and high school football. Not do I just write a check, because that's okay. So my name is on their shirt. That doesn't mean anything. I make it a point of going to games in everywhere we sponsor, just to hang out with the people and talk and see what's going on. And then a new one is Kidneys for Kindness, of course, because of my, losing a kidney. I'm doing some work with them. So yeah, it's like, we host a monthly network meeting that we started. This is month 15. And I cover the cost. We do it at a local restaurant, and people come in, and it's a cash bar, and everyone just meets. We're doing speed networking now. So I get to introduce, that's my superpower. I love to introduce people to people they need to know. Like, who are you? Who do you need to know? Let me find that person. So it's fun.
You connect people.
Yeah, it's great. I love it.
Now, I know the answer to this, but I'm going to kind of ask it. You don't do this for the deals. You don't do this because, I'm going to get, my rate of return on this is X. Yeah. Go into that for me, because I think a lot of people, when they try to do that, they fail. But I think if you just kind of do it because you're passionate about it, that's when you start to get business. So if you can elaborate on that a little bit, that'd be great.
So for instance, my son-in-law coaches a high school football team. And, when he started, there was like maybe 20 kids on the team. He's got, I think, 70 this year coming in. So we go the night before every game, and we feed the team. They get sponsorships and whatever. We make a few meals for the team, but we go and serve, and we talk to these kids, and we inspire these kids. And I think that's more of it. It's not what you can get from them. It's what you can give them. And I think if you can teach them something, whether it's how to give or how to work through a problem or anything like that, I've always attended all my kids' sports events. So this is no different. This year, I'm super excited because I'll be on the side of a softball field for my granddaughter. So that's even the best. Like that, it's come full circle now. So I'm super excited for that part.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny you say that about the coaching thing. Obviously, I led the intro with, some things I do with coaching. I've been doing it so darn long now, over 20 years, that literally my players that were in high school, they go through college, and then I just forget how old they are. They're always kids to me. And next thing you know, I get a phone call. Hey, coach, what's going on? Hey, nothing. Hey, I'm thinking about buying a home. Can you help me out? I'm like, wow. You know what I mean? And because we don't do it for the money. Like I barely get paid anything coaching high school. And it basically goes right back to the program. But it's good because it's like that farming terminology we always use. Like I didn't know I was farming. I basically do it because I love helping people. And it's just fun. And I don't ever think I'm going to get a deal from them, but it just happens.
And, people always, you be nice to people. And, I get referrals from more people that I've never done a deal with because I told them it wasn't right. Those are the ones that refer more because I didn't steer them down a road that wasn't great.
Right.
So I think that's part of it. I think we're educators too. You got to educate everybody. That's our role.
Absolutely. So if we have someone out there listening and maybe they're thinking about jumping into their community, but they don't know how, or maybe they're a little cautious or a little shy, what piece of advice would you give them to get involved locally?
I would say start with the chamber and see what nonprofits are involved in your chamber of commerce. Where my daughter and I are starting a podcast locally for entrepreneurs, for-profit and not-for-profit, to shine a positive light on the nonprofits in our world, in our city, to give a great light. So that's coming soon. That'll be fun. That'll be fun.
Well, so we're talking about being proactive. Now I'm going to flip it back to being proactive in our community. Okay. Mm-hmm. So as we are recording these episodes, we have Unify. If you guys don't know what Unify is, we're going across the country. John is. I know some board members are there. Our team's going just to unify the community, and we're going to continue to do these. As well as we've announced that Fuse 2025 is going to be in Nashville. I'm extremely excited about that one. But like when we go to these events, I literally do what you try to do, which is connect people. Hey, have you met this person? You know what I mean? And if you see someone sitting in the corner, by themselves or sitting at the table, go say hi to them. We're all in the same boat here. So give us some tips and advice on how to do this better at our events.
Well, and I think as, being a new broker, when my first in-person event was 2021, and I didn't know anybody really going in, a handful, not really. And it could be very intimidating. And then I started to meet some people who basically just took me by the arm and, introduced me to people and whatnot. So I always put out there, hey, if you've not been to Fuse, first of all, it's a roll up your sleeves, get to work. You come out with way more ideas than, I think that's the only negative I have, is like, which one do I implement first? Right. Because I want to take them all in. But I always say, hey, if you are a first timer at Fuse, call me. I'll come meet you, and we'll introduce you to whoever you want to meet. Whoever you want to meet. We're ready. And I think that everybody, the board for AIME and the staffers are just top notch. They're the most friendly and will greet you and will introduce you to someone standing next to you. I think they do a fabulous job.
They do. They make my life easy. I'll tell you that much right now.
It's great.
Yeah. So, a lot of people live on Facebook, and then that's how they kind of do their intro to our community, is through the Facebook group page. If you can, to all the listeners out there, and maybe we even clip this a little bit, Kurt, but how important is it to you to be in person and meet people at these events?
I love it, because you never know what they're doing. It's even when you're sitting having your coffee in the morning before the events, you might learn a best practice from them that you're going to put in that's going to change your business. I think that, and to get to know that people have your back. I mean, I've called people all across the country when I have a loan that I'm like, oh, can I do this? Whatnot? And they answer their phone. It's great.
Yeah, so that's what I love as well. Is, I meet so many people, and let's just be honest here, everyone is not great at every aspect of this business. But what I do during these conversations is I find out what they're really good at, or what I think they're good at, and I will call them. Like, I make the most phone calls of the entire year right after Fuse, because I meet someone, they do this. So, like, give us an example of something that happened to you where after Fuse you called them.
Amy, in Chicago, I had a VA that we had an issue with an appraisal, and I knew she did a lot of VAs. So I picked up the phone and called her, and she walked Matt through, my partner there, on what's going on and how to say to the underwriter, say this, say this, say this. And it worked.
No way.
Like, it was just some verbiage that we weren't using correctly, and I closed the loan. I only met her because I sat with her at the women's mortgage table network. We did the women's event, and she was at my table. Had no idea who she was, but now she's on my phone, and she saved the deal for me.
See, and that's what it's about. That's what this community is about. And maybe I need to start hammering this a little more. We are all free resources to each other. Mm-hmm. I mean, I could literally make a list of thousands of people that I know. If I had an issue, I could call them and they would pick up the phone. And I know, Michelle, you're the same way.
Absolutely. Well, and then let's be real now, Jonathan doing mortgage mornings. I don't get up before 6 any day except Wednesdays, because of that call. And that has changed a lot too. And he's always putting tools and tips into you that is great. And then you get to know the people there, and that's growing too, which is phenomenal.
Yeah. A lot of people kind of, I won't say complain, but they're like, really, 6 a.m.? But it's both groups, both the West Coast and East Coast group, are growing like crazy. And from where it started to where it is now, it's mind blowing to me.
It's great. I love it.
What's one of the biggest takeaways you get on that when you get on that Wednesday morning 6 a.m. meeting? What's one of the biggest takeaways?
It's attitude mindset, right? How many of us are up at 6 a.m. and Jonathan's an amazing salesperson. And so he's always given us tips and tricks. And, today we did a lot on, breaking down why someone should refi, if, to help them explain it even more and deeper. And it was, we all took away, he sent us some documents to help us. You're getting tips and tools, and it's not costing you anything. Again, free.
Yep, absolutely. So that's what I need from everyone listening, is just keep spreading the word about community and how we can continue to help each other out. I mean, we said we were going to focus on the community on this episode, and these are perfect examples of why. And there's more. There's absolutely more. I know people within the association that are members that literally have their own group chat that
Yeah.
they bounce things off of each other. Do you have anything like that?
Yeah, there's quite a few that we just, we hang out. And usually we come into deeper into them because we share AEs at different companies. So that helps us too.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't even think about that.
Right? Because AEs are like, hey, this person's here and whatnot. And so that helps us too and connects us. And anyone I meet in this industry, if they're not part of AIME, I'm like, the Facebook's free. But guess what? If you look at other things, like I'm a VIP, I now get a discount on credit reports. Like, wait, what? Like, there's so many different things that people aren't even taking advantage of.
Yeah, there's, it. So sorry, I'm a broken record sometimes, but I go to Success Track every week and talk about AIME, and there will be current members that will come up to me afterwards and go, I did not know you guys did this, like whatever the situation may be. And the cool thing about it with Jonathan's leadership is we're just getting more. We're doing more of it now, and we're going to continue to add to it. So spread the word out there. All right, Michelle, I got a few more minutes left with you. I know you're busy, but you're always very, very gracious with your time here. But I got a question for you. Rates, I think people thought rates would be lower than what they are right now. You know what I mean? And I can kind of see that trend going there. It's not there yet. Let's just be honest here, but you have to have a specific mindset. So what is your mindset for 2025?
It's to put my head down and go to work every day. There's people that need help. I had a customer that literally was so far in debt with credit cards and whatnot. And so we talked about how they got there and what happened in their worlds. And so they didn't want to touch their 3% interest rate. Great. But we did a home equity line. They saved $2,100 a month.
Wow.
That's life-changing. Life-changing. It was a very large debt. So things like that, there's always people that need help. The people are going to get married. They're going to have kids. They're going to outgrow places. There's a lot that right now are moving up to bigger houses just purely because when they bought, they had a couple of kids and now they've outgrown things. So there's business to be there. You just got to be in the mindset to go find it.
Right. I look at it this way, and I know there's different numbers out there, but I always just kind of stick with that 25, 26% of broker market share right now. Mm-hmm. And that actually motivates me, because obviously from the AIME standpoint, I want to grow that. But then from my own business standpoint, I go, these big banks just aren't, they're not just in business because they're nice guys. They're doing well because they have 75% market share. Mm-hmm. So there's enough business out there. We just got to go find it.
That's it. And I think that's what, especially with the broker, the mortgage mornings, like that puts you in the mindset, like, hey, go get it. What are you doing to go get business? And of course, like 2020 coaching and Jason Frazier, if you don't know him, you need to know him, because man, he just gets me going, and yeah, it's great.
Everyone you named today are all great people.
Yeah, it's awesome.
All right, Michelle, listen, hey, I just want to thank you for your time. If you can, and you watch this, just watch how she smiles the entire time as she does this. And this is just who she is. It's an attitude thing. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of us, yes, we've been kicked in the teeth a little bit. We just got to change our attitude a little bit and go get business, go help people.
Absolutely.
So Michelle, thanks for joining us today. I really, really appreciate your time. I am sorry that it has taken this long to get you on as a guest, but you know what? Good things come to those who wait, right?
Exactly. It's awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
No problem. As well as other AIME Network podcasts, please head over to aimegroup.com/broker-to-broker. You can also listen and watch. Yes, you can watch all AIME Network podcast episodes on YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify. If you're on YouTube, the handle is @AIME National. Do me a favor, go in there, watch them, subscribe to it. If you're just listening, which is absolutely fine, this is actually what it's designed for, please leave a review. Let us know how we're doing. We love to see it. This podcast is growing like crazy. The numbers that our team throws at us is absolutely amazing. I never thought it would do this, but you know what? It's doing it. So all of this helps spread the word and prove to the world that brokers are best. And Michelle, you're one of the best ones out there, and I just appreciate you. And everyone, have a great day.
Thank you.